Okay. Okay, we're back on the record on cause 660311, State of Texas versus Michael Mason. Motion to dismiss for lack of speedy trial. And I believe, Mr. Villarreal, we're inquiring if you'd like to conduct a cross-examination of Mr. Mason.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Hey.
Hello, Mr. Mason. I believe you're on mute. If you could please just unmute yourself, and if you do need a...
Can you unmute him, Pat, or do I need to go in there?
1 second, Mr. Mason. I think
Okay,
we're gonna...
I can't unmute him. I can only ask him to unmute.
He's in Ashley's office and she's gonna fix it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Mason. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. If you need a second at any point, please feel free to let me know and we can stop for a moment. I do want to ask you a little bit about the day you were arrested. You were arrested on May 2nd, 2021.
Yes, sir.
And you were arrested for driving while intoxicated.
That is what the charge was, sir.
You're aware that you hadn't been formally charged.
I am aware of that.
Okay. So you were arrested on May 2nd.
Right. I've just been voluntarily going to the AA groups, been having a support system, and I've been doing all the
Right. I understand that. I want to talk a little bit more about the date of arrest, though. So I'll turn your attention to that night, May 2nd, 2021. You were pulled over by police on that day.
Yes, sir.
You were ultimately arrested.
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned that you are you owned a limousine business.
That is correct.
What is the name of that limousine business?
It is a first class limousine and sedan service.
How many vehicles did you have as part of your service?
I had 4 vehicles.
4 vehicle driver.
Right. And so after the COVID-19, I had to my insurance was almost $1,500 a month, and with the license, with the bond, with the ground transportation, the San Antonio Police Department, I could no longer, for maybe almost a year, there was absolutely no business.
Right. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but I'd like to refer you back to my question. My question was, how long did you own that business?
Since 2008.
Since 2008. And so when did you lose that business? What date was that?
Around, I started the business with my ex-wife, so it was around September. All of my information is all of my paperwork application is
again, Mr. Mason, I'm gonna
around September of 2008.
No. When did you lose the business? When did the business end? When did it cease to exist?
The business ended. Actually, the business ended after the COVID-19.
Okay, it was after COVID-19.
But I had started working with a couple of other limousine owners that was in a much more.
Yeah, that wasn't really my question. My question was about your business. You said it ended after COVID-19 began. Do you have a specific date? Would you happen to remember when your business that you've had since 2008 ended?
No, sir.
That's not something you remember?
No, because I just worked with a couple other limousine companies.
So you were getting work?
I was getting very, very little work.
Okay. Now, you can't remember when your limousine business ended, but it was after the pandemic began, right?
That is correct.
And you're aware, you watch the news, I'm sure, or you know what the pandemic has done to the economy?
Yes, sir.
And so you're aware that many businesses shut down during the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
And that didn't really have anything to do with anything the state did when those businesses shut down.
Not really, don't think I fully understand the
Okay, sure.
question. I mean, I think after the arrest or several maybe a couple of months before the arrest is when the business completely stopped.
Okay. I'm gonna, Mr. Mason, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to redirect you to my question. If you can answer the question that is asked, I would really appreciate it. It's a fairly simple question. Did the state have anything to do with the shutdown of all these businesses during the pandemic?
No,
Okay. Now, you were a driver for the limousine service, right?
that was. well,
And so
I
you
was-
drove
I was
people in
actually
your limousine?
The owner,
You were the owner, but you did drive.
yes,
You drove people.
yes, sir,
And so you understand that you need to be safe when you're driving people.
yes, sir,
And that applies even when you're not driving people, right?
that is correct, sir.
Now, let's say one of your employees, a driver, is intoxicated and drives that vehicle. Is that an employee you'd like to have?
I'm going to object to relevance and speculation.
And relevance, counsel?
Your Honor, evidence is relevant if it has any tendency to make a fact of consequence more or less probable than it would be without that fact, Your Honor. And this evidence, this question that I'm asking, if answered, would make it more probable that he understands and knows that driving while intoxicated is a dangerous thing and that it can have severe consequences like losing one's job.
Okay, what relevance does that really have with a motion to dismiss for lack of speedy trial? I guess is where Ms. Morgan's coming from.
Because to show prejudice, Your Honor, they would need to show that he experienced more than the average anxiety and stress that is caused by someone who is facing charges like Mr. Mason. And
I'm going to sustain the objection. Basically, it's just, I think I've got it. I understand where we're all coming from. What we really need to do is focus on key dates. And I understand that the issue's been raised that some of the prejudice that Mr. Mason has sustained allegedly as a result of this incident involved his business and stuff. And that's what you're talking about. And you have every right to do that. But I think I understand all that. You're welcome to continue asking him about his business, but let's don't go back into the anxiety caused by DWI arrest. I'm fully aware of what it does and doesn't do. If that's
yes, Judge.
I'm
Yes,
just-
Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody wants to be arrested and have to have the charges hanging over their head for a year. I understand that.
Yes, Judge. And Mr. Mason, if we can get to your question in just a moment, I'd like to continue with mine. So you mentioned that you're homeless, Mr. Mason?
Sir,
You mentioned that you're homeless
that is correct.
and that you've had trouble making payments on rent.
Well, I mean, I've been having trouble ever since the COVID-19.
Right, ever since COVID-19.
Right, but one thing that Attorney Morgan has in her notes is it was the officers typed in everything incorrectly.
Let's
Come
not
on.
talk
Okay.
about, Mr. Mason, let's not talk about the evidence. We're going to object to that. We're not going to talk about attorney work product, evidence we've talked about.
I prefer if you just answer my question. That wasn't really my question. So I'm going to redirect you again to my question. My question is that you had trouble paying for rent. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
You had trouble with operating your business.
right, paying, that's correct, paying the $1,500 a month when I didn't really have but one or two jobs, like every other week, and my rent was $650.
Okay, now, so it appears that, you're having issues with money, but you do have a pending prostitution charge, don't you?
Objection, Judge, relevance.
Evidence is relevant. Again, Judge, if it has any tendency to make a fact of consequence more or less probable than it would be without the fact. And here it makes it less probable that Michael Mason had suffered any prejudice due to income or lack of income, his ability to pay, because he was able to pay for someone for sex. And so that fact is relevant.
It's not relevant to whether or not you have violated his right to a speedy trial.
You were arguing prejudice. Well, she is arguing prejudice, Your Honor. And so to show that there was no prejudice, the court has to hear that he did not just have money to pay, that he's asserting that he didn't have money to pay rent and to live and that he's homeless, but he did have money to pay for sex.
Once again, Judge, that's case is pending. It's before this incident occurred, and it's not relevant to whether or not the state has violated his right to a speedy trial.
Let me inquire. This is another case that's currently still pending in Bexar County. Is that correct, Ms. Morgan?
Yes, Judge. I don't represent one particular case, so I don't know the facts.
Mr. Villarreal, you made your point. I'm sustaining the objection, but I understand what your point is. Okay.
Yes, Judge.
All right, go ahead.
Now, so we began with the question that you were arrested on May 2nd, 2021, correct, Mr. Mason?
Right.
But you understand you weren't formally charged with driving while intoxicated on that day, correct?
I do understand that. It's just.
And as you heard earlier,
I have to every year take get relicense.
right. Though that wasn't my question. My question wasn't about your licensing. My question was about when you were arrested. Now I'm going to ask you another question. You understand that you weren't charged, you weren't formally accused with DWI until today? You understand that?
Can you please say that again, sir? I
Yes.
wasn't formally charged.
As you heard earlier today, during this hearing, you understand that you were not formally charged with driving while intoxicated until this morning.
That's probably fair to say that is correct, Attorney Morgan.
Well, I'm asking you, Mr. Mason, you're aware that you were just charged today, right?
I mean, not particularly, sir. I mean, I thought, the reason why I was, going to spending all the money and going to the pretrial and the probation officer and the Smart Start and your analysis, I probably would honestly say that I thought that I was charged,
Okay.
accused.
Jim, I'm sorry. I apologize. I've got an emergency phone call. I'll be right back. Stand by.
Yes, Judge.
At some point.
Give me 2-minute break and I'll be right back. I apologize.
Yes, sir.